we're drafting years and the movies that they contain.
2019 had like $9 billion movies.
Had Joker, Avengers Endgame,
The Lion King remake.
I think there's 3 years in my mind that everyone says are the best years.
And then some other huge movies from that year. Zodiac, which is one of, I mean, David Fincher, it's hard to even like have like a top 5. Like his movies are all so good, and I think it might be like number 6.
And I'm gonna take 2013.
That's a really good year. One of my favorites.
Yeah. And the main reason is for Prisoners.
Yeah.
Welcome to Backseat Directing,
Where we talk about movies, TV shows, comics, and more.
We're your hosts,
Andrew.
and Arron with McNeill.
We post new episodes every Monday and Thursday.
And on this episode, we're doing the best year of movies, the draft.
3, 2, 1, action. When you were doing
The
it,
title of this was a mouthful.
I was like, when you were doing it, I was like, does he have it? So we're drafting years and the movies that they contain. So like if I draft, for example, 2025, which we can't draft, so we can't draft because it's in the future. But I would get all the movies that came out in 2025, and that would be added to my team. And we're each going to draft 5 years for each of our teams. And then you will be able to vote as audience members and let us know who you think has the best team of 5 years.
Sounds easy enough.
Sounds simple enough. It's
Yeah.
a little weird to say,
Yeah.
but we're gonna
Straightforward
do our snake draft, which if you've seen our show before, Aaron's gonna use a randomizer to decide the order between Aaron, myself, Andrew, and McNeill, and then we're gonna go in that order, going 1, 2, 3. 3 goes again, 2, 1, 1 goes again, and so on until each of our teams has 5. But also, thanks for coming back, McNeill. We're glad to have you.
Of course.
Our out-of-town friend.
Yeah, you have your own movie podcast.
I do, yeah.
And on that podcast, you talk about movies in each year, right? Like each
Yep.
episode is a year. And we were actually on that podcast, but
Still
it
waiting
hasn't
for
come
that
out
episode
yet.
to come out.
And we recorded that like 4 years ago.
Yeah.
What's the name of your podcast?
25-cent film.
And you want to tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, so we just kind of go through each year of the 21st century, 1 year at a time. We do our top 5, not draft, but just kind of top 5 lists, and we cover like the basic Oscar information of each year, as well as like box office stats. And but yeah, the main part of each episode is the top 5 of each year, and I have different guests on each time. Some come back, some are just like once, I guess. But yeah, it's a lot of fun.
We're drastically underprepared for this draft.
Yeah,
in comparison.
McNeill has been training for this his whole life.
Yeah.
McNeill has his show. I think definitely prepares him in a good way because you have a good recollection of what movies are in each year as a basis, and then on
Right.
top of it, you have research in your notes as well. Me and Aaron have been trying to do a little bit of research, and I mean, I know my favorite movies years, but there's a lot of movie years I don't know. So I've been looking over like top movie years and going through Letterboxd and trying to find good years that will impress the audience. There's so many though. Every year I look at, I'm like, dang, this is a good year.
Yeah.
I feel like every year is a good movie besides 2020. Every year is a good movie
2020
year.
is not a good year. I'm not even looking forward to doing that when I'm having my parents on for that episode, because we watched all those movies that year, and they were like, "What year can we get?" And I was like, "2020."
The best year.
Yeah. But I think that'll be like the most fun part of the 2020 episode, is that they'll be on it.
Yeah,
So,
doing it with your parents.
yeah,
That's fun.
that'll be fun. But that year is not good.
All right, you ready to find out the order?
Yeah.
Yes, while Aaron's doing the randomizer, I do want to thank the audience for clicking on this video. We really appreciate you, and it means the world to us. McNeill really loves you guys too. He loves you so much. But make sure
Love all of you.
he'll love you even more if you hit the notification bell. So hit that notification bell. Don't miss any of the extra content we've been putting out lately, and make sure that you're subscribed to the show and follow us on all of our social media platforms.
Perfect. Before I hit the randomize button
again.
here, where would you want to go? Would you want the first, second, or third drafting position?
I think 3.
Okay.
Maybe.
Get that back to back.
Yeah,
Okay.
because I have a favorite year, but I'm not sure that it would be somebody's first pick. But I could be wrong, and if that were the case, then I'd want 1. But I guess My gut says 3.
I think that we always talk about when we do a draft that when there's a lot of good picks on the table, 3 is a good spot because you get to have those 2
Yeah.
back-to-backs. And I do think there's a ton of good picks on the table here. So I would just not want to be 1. That would be my thing because 1 has to wait so long before they can pick again. And
True.
there's just
Yeah.
too many good. Like if I pick one of I think there's 3 years in my mind that everyone says are the best years. I think if I got one of those first, then the other 2 people would get the 2 other ones. And then audiences are going to be like, well, I like the person that got to pick twice instead of the person that got one of my favorite years and then had to wait eons to pick again.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Here we go.
Definitely,
Drum roll, please.
definitely about to get first because I said I didn't want it.
I feel like you always get second though.
I do a lot.
First is Arron, so myself. Then we have McNeill
Okay.
in second, and then Andrew is in third.
I'll take it. You guys
And
can
that will be the order of who wins too.
doubt it. Doubtful, my friend. We'll do a debate on this episode after we do this episode. The next
Yeah.
episode is your debate who won.
Okay.
I think you guys will make my decision a little bit easier for me because my notes looks like freaking Pepe Sylvia from Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
This was a hard episode to prepare for, not gonna lie. There's a
And
lot
I'll
of
be
ways
actually
to gather.
was like, even though like this is a topic I'm familiar with, like it was still like hard to figure out which 5 I even wanted to go for.
It's like choosing your favorite children.
Yeah, that I don't have.
Well, it's also even more complicated than because picking your favorite movies is hard enough. But when you do this, it's like, oh, the movies I really like are in this year. But then this year has 20 movies that I like a little bit less.
Yeah.
It's like, how do I do
That's
the
what's
math on that?
That was more important to me than like my favorite movies. In
Quantity
yeah,
of
if
good
the-
movies?
Yeah.
Good to know. Hold on one second. Let me rearrange my picks.
All right, for my first pick of this movie year draft, I'm gonna take 2014.
That's a good year.
Yeah, I thought
Yeah.
for sure that you would pick it because it has, for one, it has Captain America: The Winter Soldier
Yeah.
and X-Men: Days of Future Past
Yep.
and Guardians. In the
And
same year.
Guardians.
Crazy year
Gone
for
Girl,
Marvel.
Interstellar.
Yeah, it's got a lot of great movies. Whiplash.
I love Whiplash.
It's one of Andrew's favorites. Fury, Edge of Tomorrow.
Big
I
Hero
really
6.
like. Yep, Big Hero 6, American Sniper, Imitation Game. You said X-Men, Days of Future
Yeah.
Past, which I think is the best one.
John Wick.
We got we got Dawn of the Planet of the Apes.
Yes.
Fire.
Yeah.
One of the, I'd say, people think that one is the best in the trilogy. That's the common.
But not Aaron's
consensus.
favorite. Not Aaron's favorite.
I do like the first one a little more. Yeah, so this year is stacked. We can't forget about Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, I was
Come on
about
now.
to say that
Tasm
one too.
too.
And the best picture winner that year was Birdman, which
Yep,
is another really good movie.
got the Equalizer
The
too,
Unexpected
combating
Virtue of
John Wick.
Ignorance.
Yeah, there's the Lego Movie. Came out in 2014 as well.
Yeah, big year for animation. Big Hero 6,
Equalizer.
Lego movie.
How to Train Your Dragon 2.
That's a great movie. I mean,
Yep.
that
Yep.
one's very emotional.
Big Hero 6. I think you might have said that.
Paddington.
Yeah.
First
Oh,
Paddington.
Boyhood. I love that movie. That's a really good movie.
And we can't forget Kingsman, Secret Service.
What a good year for action. Kingsman and John Wick
Wick,
in the
yeah.
same year. And then Captain
Both-
America: Winter
Right,
Soldier.
yeah.
Both like heavily stylized
Yeah,
action that
yeah.
are completely different from each other too.
I kind of feel like this is where we started to get away from comedies, though, like mid 2010s. Because looking
Mhm.
through the
Yeah.
years, when I was back in the 2000s years, I was like, man, they used to make comedies. Like,
Yeah,
there used to
right.
be like 15 good comedies a year, and now 0.
That's okay.
I'm okay
fine
with it,
that.
too.
Yeah.
I'm a comedy person. These guys don't like to laugh and have fun, but they're over here laughing when people are getting their heads chopped off and something.
Yeah.
Or laughing like in all the violence in a Tarantino movie.
This guy's over here laughing during In Bruges.
All right, McNeill, you're up.
All right.
What's the first pick of the draft for you?
I'm gonna take 2019,
2019.
which is
That's a good
yeah.
one.
my all-time favorite year.
I think it's the all-time high for the box office too.
It's
Isn't
either
it?
2019 or 2018. I can't remember, but regardless, I'm pretty. 2019 had like $9 billion movies.
Had Joker, Avengers
Yeah.
Endgame.
The Lion King remake.
Toy Story
Uh,
4.
I think that might have been one, but like my top 5 for that year, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is like one of my all-time favorite movies. It's like a top 5 for me. It's my favorite Tarantino film.
Overrated. God, sorry.
Avengers Endgame, which speaks for itself. Like
I've heard of
that
it.
was such a great event. And Knives Out
Is
one
that
of
the
my
one
favorites.
with MODOK?
Yeah. Or Avengers Quantumania, whatever.
Yeah, that's my favorite one.
Knives
We
Out,
can't. Yeah, we
Knives
gotta give
Out,
that movie attention
So
there.
good.
Joker, which
so
I
good.
know I don't think you're a huge fan of,
Not really.
right? And then Us, which is I think a really underrated one from that year. But then for franchises, there was so much that came out that year. There was John Wick Chapter 3, Parabellum. We already talked about Toy Story, but there was Shazam. There's a Spider-Man movie that year. Captain Marvel.
Don't forget Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, there was that. Frozen 2, that was
Shazam!
another. Frozen 2 was another $1 billion hit that year. There was a Fast and Furious movie, but it was the Hobbs and Shaw, but there was still that. How to Train Your Dragon. There was also a really big year for biopics. There's Ford versus Ferrari, which I think is really good. A Beautiful
Heard
Day in
great
the
things about
Neighborhood.
that movie. Haven't
It's
seen it.
it's so good. Rocket Man, which Taron Egerton should have been at least nominated for his portrayal of Elton John in that movie. Dark Waters and Just Mercy are really good.
Dark Waters is so good. I just watched
Yeah,
it.
that's
ago.
a great movie. And
Did
then
you-
Parasite was Best Picture. What was that?
I was gonna ask if you mentioned 1917.
Yeah, that was another one. 1917 was that year, which was really cool.
Dude,
It was one of the great war films.
I was in the car ride over here telling Sierra that if 1917 didn't win for best cinematography for Roger Deakins, I would literally I would go after the Academy. I would be starting a protest campaign online. I'd be like, in what? I don't think there's a year in history that could. The only thing I could see contention for is if 1917 came out in the same year as like Blade Runner 2049. Like
Yeah,
that's the only way I could
right.
see you should even debate
It
it.
was amazing.
Photographer too.
Yeah, it's both Roger
He's just going up against himself.
Deakins.
Little Women was another really good one from that year, and then I guess you can't forget about Uncut Gems.
That's so good.
Yeah.
It's so man. I love the anxiety filmmaking that people always talk about with
Yeah.
that movie, like
Yeah.
the Safdies. That's so good.
Yeah.
And also what you said, I think right before I started talking too, was Parasite, or
Yeah,
maybe before
Parasite.
Aaron. But that can't be overlooked. It's like the first foreign film to ever win Best Picture.
Right,
That's an
yeah.
incredible accomplishment.
Yeah.
And a movie that I think is like, it's so widely loved on a level like Shawshank to me, where like everybody I've ever heard that watched it considers it like a great movie.
Yeah, it was literally the most watched film on Letterboxd for over a year. It stayed that #1 spot the whole time, and it got to the point where I was like, "People, watch something else." But it's a great movie.
I
And
think
then
the only thing people that I could hear somebody say about it is that they don't want to read subtitles, which even then it's like, get over it. Like,
Right,
watch
yeah.
the movie.
yeah, that doesn't make a difference.
Aaron's like, did somebody say my name?
And then lastly, it was a really good year for horror because, like I said, there was Us, but there was also Midsummer, The Lighthouse, Doctor Sleep, the sequel to The Shining, It Chapter 2, and then a really underrated horror comedy, Ready or Not. So yeah, 2019 I think it's a phenomenal year.
Midsummer's a banger.
Yeah,
It really blew up Florence Pugh's career too, and
For sure.
I feel like so that was. It's also just such a gorgeous looking movie. I love the aesthetic of doing something like outdoors and in that European setting, the beautiful wildflowers, and
yeah,
also the foreshadowing of that movie's on another level to where
yeah.
I saw that tapestry with the bear in the beginning, and I was like, "This is going to be like the events of the movie," and I knew it. Like I know it looking at it, but I was also like, I don't know what the events of the movie are going to be. I was
Yeah,
like, I can't
yeah.
decipher this tapestry to know, but I know that this is looking back. This is going to be significant.
Yeah.
All right.
So
Andrew?
me, where does that bring you?
Please stop.
I have to at least wait until it returns back to me, but I have to get it out so that you can't say it first. Okay, I feel incredibly conflicted. Actually, I feel like you guys both took years off the table that I would have really struggled with choosing between. 2014 I think is an obvious contender, but I think you guys left some meaty prospects on the table. And for me, getting both of these here, I think is a risk because they're both in the 90s. And then maybe some of the younger audience members won't resonate with it as much. But I feel like to me, these are two of the three heavy hitters of all time for movie years. So I'm just going to name both my picks back to back. I'm going to take 1994 and 1999 with my
both of those are so good.
with my first pick of the draft. I think that those are also from years past where we used to have like eclectic variety of movies, like I said, where they used to make comedies. Because 1994, Jim Carrey was on a generational run.
Yeah.
In 1994, Jim Carrey did Dumb and Dumber, Ace Ventura, and The Mask, which is basically like the motivation for your favorite modern comedy movie. And like between those three, somewhere in there, because they're all just super slapstick, super fun, over the top, hilarious performances that have like stood the test of time. That's also what I love about these years, that they have really, really stood the test of time at this point. I mean, it's 25 years at least for both of these years, 30, almost 30 years for 1994. Is it 30 years? Yeah, because it's 2024.
Yeah.
So, geez, I mean, these movies have really stood the test of time in the audience mind. If you think about it, 1994 had Shawshank Redemption, Pulp Fiction, and Forrest Gump. I literally feel like there should have been a stalemate on the best picture that year, because how do you choose between those three movies? Those are three of the most influential movies of all time. My team now has the number one movie on IMDb of all time with Shawshank Redemption, and then one of the highest rated performances of all time with Forrest from Forrest Gump.
Yeah.
And I think Pulp Fiction is widely regarded as Tarantino's best work, even if your favorite is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which I think a lot of people do like it. It's like their modern favorite.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to me when Inglourious and Django are right there and they exist.
Yeah, those are all
he makes great movies. But I think Pulp Fiction is widely regarded. I think he won the Oscar for the screenplay that year.
Yeah.
But man, what a heavy year, 1994. And then also, like, in terms of animated movies, The Lion King as well. One of the most influential animated movies of all time with the Hans Zimmer score.
You love that movie, right?
I like that movie. But other people love that movie. It's like a lot of people
really like 94.
No, he doesn't.
There's also a really good indie film that year that was directed by Ben Stiller called Reality Bites.
Oh yeah,
I really like that movie.
I haven't seen it, but that's on my watch list. It's a highly regarded movie.
And then there was also Speed.
Oh, Speed!
Is a great action movie.
Is that from Catherine Bigelow, or am I mixing it up with?
No,
I'm mixing it up with Point Break.
You're mixing it up with Point Break. I can't remember who directed that movie though, but it was obviously Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock. That movie is so good. And then there's also
Jan de Bont.
That was good
Yeah.
too.
Jan de Bont. He's directed a lot of good action movies. The original Twister, Tomb Raider. So I want to go to a couple other movies in 1994 before I move on. Interview with a Vampire, Leon the Professional.
Oh, that's a good one.
The original The Crow, Natural Born Killers, Four Weddings and a Funeral. Oh my God. Talk about eclectic years. I mean, Christmas movies. They had, the Santa Claus came out in 1994. Tim Allen's Santa Claus. True Lies with Arnold Schwarzenegger, great action movie.
I still need to see that one.
Very over the top and fun. I think that one also has Jamie Lee Curtis in it as well.
Yeah.
And then the Flintstones came out that year. They used to just have so many movies that were just fun, comedies, action dramas, and it's very like all over the place. And then on to 1999, which I hold very near and dear to my heart because that's my birth year, and I think my birth year is possibly the best year in film, at least for me personally, because it has two of my top 10. Well, I recently moved Fight Club into my top 20, but it has Fight Club and The Matrix in it, which The Matrix is like, could on any given day float up to being my favorite movie of all time. It's up there with Django Unchained and The Dark Knight for me. It also has iconic movies for sci-fi and for CGI special effects, like moving forward in general with The Phantom Menace. Whether you like it or not, it is a very influential movie. American Beauty, which I think won Best Picture that year.
Yeah.
Eyes Wide Shut, so it even has a Stanley Kubrick movie. Girl Interrupted, Virgin Suicide for the girlies. Toy Story 2, in terms of animated, iconic. I think that may have won animated feature. No, maybe they didn't. They didn't have animated feature in 1999.
No, they did, I think, but I can't remember if it won or not.
Yeah, they have all kinds of different movies, though. 10 Things I Hate About You, and then just even sneaking in there with iconic great movies like The Sixth Sense, which absolutely obliterated the box office VOD sales. And then The Green Mile is super iconic. Blair Witch Project absolutely changed horror when it came out, introduced us to the found footage genre in a shocking way. The Iron Giant blew us away for animated movies.
Maybe that one for animated.
I wouldn't be surprised at all. It's so good.
I'll look it up.
Sierra's going to get a tattoo for it. Oh, wait, Tarzan came out. That probably won.
Oh, it could have.
Holy shit.
Definitely for like
what
soundtrack.
A crazy year. Animated movies, The Iron Giant, Tarzan, and Toy Story 2. What a competitive best animated block.
For sure.
It also has Notting Hill. And then I want to talk about two movies that I think are really huge up there for me, which is The Talented Mr. Ripley, an insanely awesome visual movie. Like, just looks so beautiful, filmed in Europe with Jude Law and Matt Damon and Gwyneth Paltrow. And like, the setting of that movie makes me want to go to Italy so bad. It's like freaking beautiful. It's so gorgeous. And then they're at the Spanish Steps, and oh my goodness. But then The Mummy, which I think we can all appreciate this at this table. The Mummy
That's a good movie.
is an iconic action adventure. Like,
Yeah.
this is when they made action adventure like hit. Like, this is like one of the swashbuckling movies, The Mummy. It's just fun action adventure. This is a blockbuster, as
Brendan
it should
Fraser
be.
at his peak.
Yeah,
too.
exactly. So handsome. And this is just a great summer movie. But also in comedies, they have Office Space and American Pie, and Big Daddy. And there was I think this is The Spy Who Shagged Me. Yep, Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me, the South Park movie. So you're hitting all the
Sleepy Hollow
genres.
was a really good one, Tim Burton movie that year.
Oh my goodness, dude! I mean, they're hitting all the genres. They're hitting like thrillers. They're hitting horror with Blair Witch Project. Great comedies, great dramas, all kinds of stuff.
It's a great year. Yeah.
Aaron, you haven't chimed in on this year at all. You don't care about these movies?
I mean, you mentioned all the ones that I would have brought up, and I can't think of movies that came out in the 1999.
But I rest my case for 1994 and 99. Those are incredible movies.
Yeah, that's a great year.
Being John Malkovich as well.
Oh yeah.
Man, Tarzan. God. This is one of my.
Sounds like you didn't even know.
I missed Tarzan on my research. Tarzan is one of my top 5 all-time animated movies. So, God, that Phil Collins soundtrack, dude, Son of Man,
so good.
You'll Be in My Heart.
Disney actually just put out. I don't know if you guys like this genre of music at all, but it's like my thing. Is they put out a pop punk cover album of Disney animated songs.
You sent that in the Discord. I keep meaning to listen to it, and then I haven't gone back to it yet.
Awesome. It's so cool.
Can I listen to it at the gym? Would it fit the vibe?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was like Newfound Glory playing the song from The Little Mermaid. Yellow Card did Aladdin. Boys Like Girls did Tarzan.
Tarzan.
Bowling for Soup was in there too. I mean, there was all sorts of really cool stuff. It was like a total blast from the past. But
join our Discord to find that link if you guys are interested.
Yeah.
You don't know where to find it. You have to join the Discord to get it.
Yeah. All right, McNeill, your second pick.
All right, so I'm gonna take kind of like 1999, which is often regarded as one of like the best years for film.
I'm sorry, what was that last part? I didn't hear what you said.
And another year that's in that conversation is 2007. People often consider this year to be one of the best because of that best picture race for that year, because the top contenders were No Country for Old Men and There Will Be Blood, which are, I don't know if you could consider There Will Be Blood a Western, but I feel like it is in a way, not as much as No Country for Old Men, but they are two of the greatest 21st century Westerns. And then another one that came out that year, it wasn't in that particular race, was The Assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford. It's like the longest title ever, but it's a great movie, and it's some of the best cinematography I've ever seen, and it's also Roger Deakins. It's a great movie.
He has a stranglehold on the. He also did Prisoners.
And then there was also 3:10 to Yuma, which is another good Western it's a remake starring Russell Crowe and Christian Bale, and it's directed by James Mangold. And I guess it was semi early in his career.
See, I'm not high on 3:10 to Yuma.
It's not my favorite either.
It seems like it has every element to be a banger. Like, it's James Mangold, Christian Bale, and Russell Crowe.
Yeah.
And then for me, it just was kind of slow, and
it's a little slow. I loved the ending, but I thought it was well acted and well made for the most part. It was a really good year for a franchise, especially in the early 2000s, before it was like a giant franchise heavy hitter year like 2019 or 2018 was. But there was Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, Spider-Man 3, love or hate it, Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End, like the end to that original Pirates trilogy, Transformers. And
which Transformers? The original?
The original came out in 2007, and then The Bourne Ultimatum, which was another really great action movie. Comedy.
Ocean's 13.
That was that year too? I guess I missed that because I haven't seen that one. I got to Ocean's 12 and tapped out because I didn't like that one. But I like Ocean's 11.
I don't even really like Ocean's 11.
It's a good year for comedy because they're super bad. You're one of your all-time favorites. Yeah. Hot Fuzz and a Wes Anderson film, The Darjeeling Limited.
Yeah, I had it on my list, and I was like, damn, super bad and
Hot Fuzz.
And I love Hot Fuzz. It's one of my favorite Edgar Wright movies. That I think I would literally put, if we did a ranking of like the top 10 most underrated movies of all time, I would put Hot Fuzz in it because no one ever talks about it. When they talk about Edgar Wright, they talk about Baby Driver, Scott Pilgrim versus the World, Shaun of the Dead. Like they always skip Hot Fuzz, which is so good.
My girlfriend loves Hot Fuzz. It made the
So good.
2007 list on that episode.
That's like you said you like dark comedy. I feel like that's like a dark comedy.
It's good.
Yeah.
I enjoy that one. And then some other huge movies from that year, Zodiac, which is one of, I mean, David Fincher, it's hard to even like have like a top 5. Like his movies are all so good, and I think it might be like number 6 in my list for him. And it's still like a 9 out of 10.
It has one of my
movie.
favorite shots of all time and one of my favorite scenes of all time.
Which scene?
When they're having like a picnic or whatever on by the tree.
That
And
scene is so
chilling.
terrifying.
Yeah. Then the Zodiac comes out and like approaches them. Ugh.
I couldn't sleep after watching that movie for the first time, and I usually don't feel that way after movies. But I think it's because that one's true crime and it's so real, and it was never solved. Is what's so eerie.
See, I didn't even know that going into when I first watched the movie. I didn't know that.
I don't know if I did either. Yeah.
And the movie ended, and I was like so upset.
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about? What do you mean? He was right there.
It's like it's so infuriating that was never solved because that was such like a grotesque case.
Yeah.
But
well, then you as a viewer, like audiences at wide, have your own theories watching it. Like, oh, was it Arthur? Was it? And you like. Because they point at like 2 or 3 different directions for prominent suspects.
Right.
And they make that one guy so creepy at the end when he goes to interview him.
Yeah. And then there's that one scene that I actually forgot about going into it last time. I think I've seen it like 3 times now, but there's that scene where he picks up that girl with her baby. And then I was like, oh my God, I forgot about this scene. I couldn't even remember what happened. And I was just like on the edge of my seat the whole time. And I'd already seen it 3 times, you know?
Yeah. Excuse me, miss. Your tire is a little loose. You want me to fix that?
That scene is crazy.
I love the shot too. The one I said is one of my favorite shots is like a top-down shot that's following the taxi before he kills the taxi driver, and it like follows it as it turns around a corner, and it's like so smooth.
That's a really good shot. Yeah. Some other really good movies from that year. There was Atonement, which was another of the Best Picture nominees. That's one of Joe Wright's. I think it's actually Joe Wright's best movie. Into the Wild, which is a really tragic biopic. Juno, which is another comedy that
a really tragic biopic. Juno, which is hilarious.
Yeah. Death Proof, I think, is an underrated Tarantino movie. Enchanted, Sweeney Todd, I Am Legend, Gone Baby Gone, which is Ben Affleck's directorial debut, and I still think that might be his best movie. I'm not sure. He's got like all of his are really good.
Oh, you think Gone Baby Gone might be Ben Affleck's best movie, like performance or directing?
He's not starring in it. He just directed it.
Oh, I haven't seen it, but
it's really good.
I really like The Town. Didn't he direct?
That's a great movie. Yeah, The Town.
I'm not a big Argo fan, but
I like Argo.
Probably some. I mean, he won like one Oscar, so some people might say Argo too.
And then Air was good as well.
Not a big fan of Air, but
so I guess you're like 50% Ben Affleck.
Yeah, 50-50. I like him as a director because of The Town.
Yeah. And then there was American Gangster. That was another heavy hitter that year. And then can't forget about High School Musical 2.
Can't forget about High School Musical 2. Aaron doesn't want to admit how much how much value that adds for him.
Yeah.
Aaron loves High School Musical.
All right.
Man, I feel like Aaron's pain. I have to wait so long before I can pick again.
Yeah, especially because with these, you have to talk so long about your pick and go through all the movies that are on your list.
Do you guys know for Juno that Jason Bateman almost didn't take that role?
Yeah, I think I heard about that.
I think he passed on it, and then they ended up like bringing it back to him before he actually took the role.
Yeah.
All right. For my second pick, which is crazy that we're only on 2.
1920.
That's a good year.
The Roaring 20s.
I'm kidding.
Not 1920, but it is in the 1900s, and it's going to be 1995.
Ooh,
I was shocked. I didn't think Aaron was going to go to the 90s early on.
Boom, wild card. Gotcha.
Boom, wild
surprise.
Card. How many of these movies have you seen?
7.
Like 2 of them. Yeah. I've seen 7. We have Heat. I've seen most of Heat.
You should be docked some points for this year. The only movie you've seen is 7. It's an all-timer.
I've seen Toy Story.
Fair enough.
Jumanji. Die Hard with Vengeance. Come on now.
Jumanji's really good. It's on Netflix right now.
I want to rewatch that.
Die Hard
I
with
do
a
too.
Vengeance is also one of the best Die Hard movies. My second favorite.
I rewatched, or I was watching a VFX breakdown of Jumanji, and did you know that the tiger that's in it was the first CGI hair model?
Really? I did not know that.
Yeah, I
Isn't
didn't.
that
I didn't know
crazy?
that either.
Like
Yeah.
they invented how they work with the hair. Like they would animate like one hair and then like duplicate it and have
Wow.
other patterns and all that stuff.
So no
I don't really know
Jumanji.
how to explain it.
No Jumanji, and it irreparably damages the modern Planet of the Apes trilogy.
Yeah, exactly. But it was really interesting hearing them talk about like how in a scenario like that, like you can't go to anyone for help because you're creating this technology that's never been used before. And
Yeah.
it looks like it holds up. I think it holds up. The monkeys look a little funky, but the the lion in particular looks really good.
I think they
Yeah.
do a good job with like the stampede and stuff of having the animals move quickly
Yeah,
to maybe
yeah.
hide some of the dated aspects of the CGI.
Well, they mix a lot of practical effects and stuff in there. Like when he's melting through the floor, that looks really good. When they had the rhinos like ram through the like library uh, studio, they like had a blue screen rhino like ram that like actually went through. So it's the shape of what they're going to be animating. So everything was actually falling the way that
It should.
this shape would
Yeah.
actually
I suggested
affect
this
it.
movie to Sierra last night, and she turned me down. I tried to watch this movie last night.
Well, I'll watch it with you. I've been wanting to rewatch it. We have Bad Boys as well. Um,
I don't remember that sequel, Bad Boys as well.
yeah, yeah. It's right after Bad Boys for Life. But yeah, that's 95 is my next pick. And then after that, my pick, let's see here. There's a lot of good options. Still on the board, I think.
This guy has no idea what he's doing. He's about to try to
You're right.
pick a whole decade. I'll take the 2010s, Alex.
Honestly. I'm going to go ahead and take a year that contains one of my favorite movies. I know, McNeill, you were saying that your criteria is volume.
Yeah.
Mine necessarily isn't. I'm going for my favorite movies here, and I'm going to take 2013.
That's a really, really good year. One of my favorites.
Yeah. And the main reason is for Prisoners.
Yeah.
For those
the
who
best
haven't
movie that
seen
year.
it, Justin, you need to watch it. But yeah, we got Dallas Buyers Club. We have
What'd you think of that movie?
haven't seen it.
I know.
Gravity.
Set him up.
Rush. I've seen that. Snowpiercer. Captain Phillips.
That movie's incredible.
Which one?
Captain
Captain
Phillips.
Phillips.
Yeah.
I think Snowpiercer is
I'm
really
the
good.
captain now.
I know. I don't want to say that line actually because I don't want to spoil it for people who haven't seen Snowpiercer, but it's a really cool dystopian movie on a train.
It's cool.
We have Man of Steel.
Great movie.
And Oblivion with Tom Cruise. American Hustle.
I've never seen Oblivion.
I like it.
I want
I
to
like
see
it too.
It looks cool
Yeah.
visually from
It
the
does.
trailer.
Yeah, the world building is pretty cool. Lone Survivor. I really like that movie. 42.
That's a great
I didn't
movie.
realize that came out in
I still need to see
2013.
that one.
That's one of the best sports movies. I wish I had picked that for our sports movie draft because it's so impactful and emotional.
Did I pick that one?
I don't think anybody picked it.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. World War Z also came
Great
out then.
movie.
Iron Man 3, which I feel like is hated a little more than it deserves. I like Iron Man 3.
I love Iron Man 3. I saw it in
The
theaters
suits are really cool.
3 times.
Yeah.
I think I saw it twice in theaters. I enjoy it. I don't like the Mandarin twist, but I think it's a fun movie.
That's my least favorite part about it, and it is
Yeah.
a big part of the movie.
He'd have been a way better villain than like whatever they crafted up for Guy Pearce. The
Yeah.
Mandarin would have been cooler,
Yeah.
but
yeah.
Yeah.
But the suits were awesome.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
also really liked how Iron Man was like battling PTSD.
That
I like
was
the
Stuff
dynamic.
that really like humanized him.
Yeah.
I like the dynamic with the kid a lot. I was disappointed when the kid left the plot, but it didn't make a whole lot of sense for him to continue to tag
Yeah.
along with him.
Yeah. Yeah. Iron Man 3 is good.
It's a very funny dynamic.
Frozen, which launched Disney and Pixar's next biggest thing.
Mhm.
Or is it Pixar?
Frozen.
Frozen
Yeah,
Frozen's
I think it's
Disney.
just Disney.
Yeah, and it made $1 billion.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
We have Pacific Rim, and then Andrew's favorite, Despicable Me 2, came out in 2013 as well.
That's probably my least favorite Despicable Me movie.
I couldn't even get past the first one.
Yeah,
Despicable Me 1 is fantastic. Steve Carell as Gru.
I
The
just, he's
Pharrell
also
Williams, the
Steve
Pharrell
Carell.
Williams
He's also
soundtrack.
in the second one.
Yeah, I don't know. I think those movies are so obnoxious. I know
Me
I'm the
too.
minority, but I can't.
God, you guys
can't those movies.
hate fun.
Yeah.
Fun haters. Despicable
I
Me is
really,
a great movie.
I actually despise fun.
Me too. I'm
Can't stand
glad I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
That movie's so good. Jason Segel as Vector. Vector committing crimes with both direction and magnitude. Nothing from you guys, huh? Just pure hate. Nothing for the Pharrell Williams
Yeah,
soundtrack.
sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, Despicable Me. I mean, you guys are haters. There's so much.
That
fun.
song is good.
The little girls are so cute. You got Miranda Cosgrove voicing one of them.
We have a Villeneuve movie as well, Enemy, which I haven't seen that one yet.
Enemy is actually 2014. It's one
What?
of those that the Googles has wrong.
That's on the list. It counts.
But it is a great movie.
I also have 14, so it's my movie.
But he
True.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
he filmed it. Jake Gyllenhaal and Denis Villeneuve filmed that before Prisoners.
Yeah, they
Which
filmed
is-
it before Prisoners, but Prisoners came out first, and then Enemy premiered at one of the film festivals in 2013, and then got its wide release in 14.
I feel like that's odd because like Prisoners seems like a more complicated movie to produce. So I would think that Prisoners would have taken longer to come out.
Yeah, I don't know.
And
Prisoners-
they're like,
Pris-
we have Hugh Jackman.
Yeah.
We got to get this into theaters
Prisoners
fast.
Prisoners has a bigger cast for sure.
Yeah, 'cause
I feel like more locations as well.
Enemy pretty much is just relies on Jake Gyllenhaal, and that's
Yeah.
about it, playing two versions of Jake Gyllenhaal.
And a lot of it's in like the houses of the two characters, and then that
Yeah.
campus, the school
Yeah.
location.
I really enjoy that movie. I think it's an underrated movie of his.
I really don't like that movie. I would never watch it again. I thought it was very boring.
Of Enemy?
Enemy. I think you would hate it personally, but do you think you would like it?
I think there's a 50-50 shot.
Ooh, sounds risky.
Aaron's like, I don't like. Never tell me the odds.
12 Years a Slave was also that year, which is a phenomenal movie.
Man,
And
you
then
didn't even have 12 Years a Slave on your list to
that-
talk about.
that
That's a
movie's
great movie.
So good.
I'm just running through IMDb. I must have just
Yeah,
scrolled past
Have you
it.
seen Her?
I haven't.
that's a really good movie.
I
as
thought I
well.
would hate it, but I love that movie.
Yeah.
And then there was
Super dialogue heavy movie.
yeah.
Oh, we
Yeah.
didn't even bring up The Wolf of Wall Street.
Oh,
Oh,
my god,
yeah.
that's the first thing.
Yeah.
That's the first thing on Letterboxd when you pull up
Yeah.
2015.
Wolf
is
of Wall
Wolf
Street. Gravity was that year too?
Yeah,
Is that
I think I
Inari-
mentioned that one.
Inaritu? I think
No, it was
It's- I get it mixed up with
it's Alfonso Cuarón.
Cuarón.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then my favorite underrated movie that year is The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. I think that movie's awesome.
I want to watch that movie.
It's-
You recommended it to me last time you were here too, and I
It's
still haven't
incredible.
watched it.
Yeah,
Visually, it seems really cool.
yeah. It
There's
is.
one more movie that I want to mention in 2013 that really shaped my fitness journey, and that's none other than Hugh Jackman's The Wolverine. Came out in 2013 as well.
That's a good movie. I enjoy that one.
I like that one too.
I'm in the hater camp on the Wolverine, but I guess I need to rewatch it.
It's because you're jealous of Hugh Jackman's body.
Was that also
Just say it.
was that also James Mangold?
Yeah, it was. The third act, I think, derails a little bit, but the first two acts, I think, are great.
I like
Yeah.
the scene where all the ninjas are shooting him with arrows,
That's
and
a
he's
good
like
scene.
pulling them. I
Mhm.
mean, that's cool.
Mhm.
But I just feel like I remember a lot of the movie being kind of forgettable and boring. I mean, the train sequence is cool.
How did he get that yoked for that movie? Like, it's just crazy.
He was on
that's
that
phenomenal.
crazy
Yeah.
like water fast. He
Doesn't
talks
even look
about
real.
He talks about how like before you shoot the big shirtless scenes for those movies, you like chug water a bunch, like leading up to it, and then like something like 24 or 48 hours before you like cut off water completely,
Yeah,
and then you get super dehydrated where your skin is like really thin and like your muscles really like protrude out.
yeah.
It's crazy the lengths they go to. Like he was talking about having insane headaches from the
Oh yeah.
it's
What a year for physiques, though, because there was Henry Cavill and Man of Steel,
Yeah.
who put on so much weight. Matthew McConaughey lost a ton of weight for Dallas Buyers Club, and then Christian Bale gained a ton of weight for American Hustle. that year
Oh,
too.
yeah, he did.
So,
And that's going
yeah.
from 2012, so he was in really good shape in 2012.
Yeah, I don't know how he's a maniac. I don't know how
Yeah,
he
his
does what
movie
he
like
does.
timeline and body
It
composition
doesn't make
doesn't
any
line
sense.
up.
Yeah, like he went from American Psycho to the Machinist, or no, the Machinist to Batman Begins, and
hmm
that he did that transition in 4 months. Or it's like how do you put on 100 pounds of muscle like that quick? I
Like
don't
they
know.
finished filming The Machinist, and
And
then
he
4 months later they
he
started.
had to get into shape for Batman in
That's
four
crazy.
months from the Machinist. Like that's just I don't understand.
It's like there's no time to sleep. I have to be eating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How long, like before filming, did they cast him as Batman? You
I'm
know,
saying like that he had to know that that was coming up.
right? Or like the
Yeah.
casting director's like, "Hey, I got this guy. He's a great actor, but he weighs 135 pounds, soaking wet right now."
Yeah. Well, I guess they must have seen some of his earlier work beyond that, like American Psycho or Equilibrium or whatever.
He's in incredible shape in American Psycho.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's probably the best shape he's been in.
But I feel like that's pretty early in his like transformation days, and it's no
Yeah.
guarantee that he's gonna get back into Batman shape,
Right.
especially that soon, because
Yeah.
that's definitely not realistic.
Somebody knew Christian Bale well enough to know that he does what he says he's going to do.
Someone trusted.
He's a man of
Yeah.
his word.
Yeah.
After all, I'm a man of my word.
All right, McNeill,
All right.
what do you got?
So this is my third pick.
Yep.
All right, so I'm going to go back in time as well so I can grab something from the 1900s. And I'm going to go to the 80s and go with 1989, which I think is a really good year.
89.
Thank goodness. I know that my year is safe. I have that year on my list as well, by the way.
It's so
It's a good
good.
year.
Yeah.
Fantastic. But I was really worried that you were going to take, because I have been so long since I've had a turn. But go ahead. Tell us about 1989.
Okay. So one of my all-time favorites, my favorite year or favorite movie from that year is Dead Poet Society. I don't know if you guys have seen that, but that movie is phenomenal. It's a tearjerker, but it's just so good. Robin Williams' performance in that movie is legendary.
I want to get a tattoo that says,
Oh, Captain, my Captain.
no, the other quote from the movie, Carpe diem seize the day, gather
Yeah.
your roses while you may. I will love that line from Robin Williams.
That movie's so good, and I guess it's the beginning of it's an early movie for Ethan Hawke because he was a kid and now he's become a huge actor. He's been in so many great movies.
Well, I feel like he learned so much from that experience too. I feel like we wouldn't
Yeah.
have modern Ethan Hawke if we didn't have this.
Right.
For
He sure.
I think he tells a great story because there's great clips of Ethan Hawke talking about acting and like he's like really interesting in interviews, the insights
Yeah.
to his life behind the scenes. But he talks about how he used to try to not annoy, but he used to think he was annoying Robin Williams on set because he said he was a young actor and he wanted to be really professional and be in character. And Robin Williams is like the funny guy, so he would try to make everybody break on set. So he would like say things and try to make jokes and do little things like with off camera to try to make people laugh. And he said he would try to never break, and he thought he was like pissing off Robin Williams. But at one point, he got like a message from Robin Williams, like publicist or agent or something, saying that Robin Williams was like really impressed with him, like as a young man and his talent and
Yeah.
everything. And he was like, "Oh, Robin Williams does like me." And I just feel like that was so cool, like these
Yeah.
two talent juggernauts, like kind of meeting in this arena. That
Yeah,
movie
yeah.
comes together so well.
It's such a great movie. I guess this is kind of considered the first modern rom-com, even though it is back in the 80s. So I think it's kind of what set the tone for all of the rom-coms we know today, which is When Harry Met Sally, which is another great movie. Fantastic dialogue, great performances. Back to the Future Part 3. There was another kind of a cult classic movie that year, Heathers.
I haven't seen Heathers.
Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, which I think is the second best Indiana Jones movie. I love that movie. I think it's really good.
Fair.
Isn't it Back to the Future Part 2?
I think you're right. I
Yeah,
think it
because
actually might be-
86 or 85 was the first one, right? So,
Oh, right. Yeah, I just put one extra little I there
Yeah.
for the part.
which that is,
Yeah.
I think, a better Back to the Future movie. I think Part 2 is better than Part 3.
I actually haven't seen part 3. I've only seen the first two.
It's
Part 3 is like the West.
it's all in the
one,
Old
right?
West.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But
I don't think I've seen that one.
I
either.
haven't either.
I
need
like
to
them
check it out.
best in the order they came out. I like 1, then 2, then 3.
Okay, interesting. And then Spike Lee early in his career with Do the Right Thing, The Little Mermaid, a total classic. Tim Burton's Batman.
Yeah,
Like,
1989 Batman.
What like such an influential blockbuster
Yeah.
movie because like that was the first live action Batman movie, and without that movie, and then I guess Christopher Reeve Superman from the 70s, like we wouldn't have the comic book movie genre that we have today. I think that we have to thank that movie for that.
Absolutely. Very influential picks. And then
yeah.
Jack Nicholson's Joker.
Right,
And
yeah,
Michael
so
Keaton's
good,
Batman.
so
Like
good. And
crazy.
Danny Elfman's score.
Oh my goodness.
So
That Batman
good.
with the horns.
And that Gotham
brass.
is so cool too. Like just the
Truly
the
gothic.
aesthetic of
Yeah.
it. Yeah. It's
Very
it's
Tim
awesome.
Burton.
Tim Burton, I think, was like the perfect pick for that time to make a Batman movie, I think. There was also National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Iconic Christmas movie.
Yeah, it's
we
so
both
funny.
got one now. I got the Santa
Yeah.
Claus.
Ghostbusters, Say Anything, Steel Magnolias.
The first Ghostbusters?
I need to double check.
I didn't know that was on there.
I hope I didn't screw that up again.
No, you're probably right. I just didn't know that one was on there because I looked at 1989.
Let's see, 89.
That's a crazy pull.
Ghostbusters 2.
Okay, I was gonna say.
Again.
I mean, Ghostbusters. Me and Aaron checking you. Whatever. No. Ghostbusters 2 is still good. It's not one of those like terrible sequels.
Right,
It still has the main cast. But I think Ghostbusters 1 would have been a little bit more valuable.
There's other sequels though that year because there was Lethal Weapon 2, which I think is just as good as the first.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
Karate Kid Part 3.
That's the toilet bomb scene, doesn't it?
Yes, I think it's either a second or a third one, but I think it might be the second one.
And that's where they introduced it's Danny DeVito. Or is it Joe Pesci? I think one
Joe
of them.
Pesci. Yeah, I think Joe Pesci.
Yeah.
Joe Pesci shows up in the second one. Yeah. Steel Magnolias is a good drama. One of Tom Cruise's best acting performances is Born on the 4th of July.
That was on Netflix recently. It might have come off, but check Netflix if you guys want to watch
good.
that.
And then an Oscar-winning performance from Daniel Day-Lewis in My Left Foot, which is where he plays.
Story of Christy Brown.
Yeah, that's a great movie. Glory, which is early in Denzel Washington's career. Best Picture winner that year was Driving Miss Daisy. There was a James Bond movie, License to Kill. Weekend at Bernie's. Turner and Hooch.
Weekend at Bernie's is crazy to like slide in there at the end of your list. Weekend at Bernie's is an iconic comedy.
Yeah, and then Star Trek V, The Final Frontier, and there's also a Punisher movie that year.
Yeah, but I think it's not my favorite one.
Yeah,
it's not because the Tom Jane one comes out way later. The one with Tom Jane and John Travolta. That's to me the Punisher movie that counts.
Yeah, and then Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Yeah, I still have to watch that. There's a lot of movies on my watch list.
And Roadhouse.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have gotten the remake without that.
P. Swayze's Roadhouse. Is it finally my turn again?
Yep.
Yeah.
God, I feel like I've aged so much. I feel like my picks are low-key kind of personal, but I hope that people identify with them. I'm ready to go. Let's talk about it. I'm going to draft 2008 for my third pick of the draft. 2008, I think, is an obvious pick to me.
Overrated.
Hey, let's read some of these movies.
Ooh, got 'em.
Let's read some of these movies. So first of all, as if I needed anything more than this, I'm going to be drafting The Dark Knight, possibly the best movie of all time, and Iron Man 2008 with Robert Downey Jr.
Both great movies.
So the best comic book movie of all time, I think, and then Iron Man being the movie that kicked off the MCU, which we wouldn't have all these other movies that you guys want on your teams from the MCU if we didn't have Iron Man. So two great picks. And then for animated,
I went back in time before 2008, other than 2019.
1989.
Yeah, there's no MCU there.
Yeah, but also if there was an Iron Man, I feel like just as influential.
We wouldn't have
I
Iron
feel like
Man
you
without
can say
Batman.
that about like any movie. He's over there.
We wouldn't
saying,
have Iron Man without Batman.
The Batman. Yeah, the Batman. We wouldn't have these movies without that.
I'm going back to 1927. We wouldn't have movies.
We wouldn't have a big franchise without Hugh Jackman playing Wolverine.
I'm going back to like 1909. Like, we wouldn't have movies at all. Okay, so 2008 also has WALL-E, which I believe won Best Animated. Whenever Pixar makes a movie, it's hard to compete.
I
but
love that movie.
My personal favorite animated movie from that year, Kung Fu Panda, came out as well. And then Mamma Mia, Twilight, Ponyo, which is probably also nominated because it's a Studio Ghibli movie.
Yeah.
The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, The Incredible Hulk, which we wouldn't have.
We wouldn't have Mark Ruffalo's Hulk.
Tropic Thunder, Boy in Striped Pajamas, Taken with Liam Neeson, Step Brothers, iconic comedy, Bolt, Hurt Locker, Let the Right One In.
Hurt Locker 2009. It won Best Picture that year.
Yeah, you
Wait,
suck.
how did I mix that up? Okay.
Because Google has it
I
wrong.
retract Hurt Locker, my mistake. A lot of these are from Letterboxd, though, for me.
Yeah, that's where Letterboxd has Hurt Locker at 2008 for some reason. I think sometimes they put it in.
Maybe you're just wrong.
No, the Oscars in are wrong.
McNeill's always right. I'll take off Hurt Locker. Let the Right One In is an iconic horror movie, and then so much comedy. Like I'm talking about, like 2010 and before, there was so many good comedies. Pineapple Express, Forgetting Sarah Marshall, Arron for You, High School Musical 3, Yes Man, Hancock. Dude, dude, I love Hancock. We were just talking about how good this movie is the other day. Great, like, superhero movie that's not from Marvel or DC. Speed Racer, Wanted, a very influential movie to me
I actually
personally.
really enjoy Wanted.
I
It's a good
love
movie.
Wanted. It's so good. It's crazy how much I love that movie. Jumper, Journey to the Center of the Earth, which is just another Brendan Fraser fun summer action blockbuster. Eagle Eye, I think Aaron likes that movie a lot. I like it a lot.
Yeah.
Baby Mama, which is hilarious. Never Back Down, awesome action fight movie. Dr. Horrible Sing-Along Blog, highly underrated musical movie with Neil Patrick Harris and Nathan Fillion. iCarly Goes to Japan, and it was that season of, and yeah, iCarly Goes to Japan came out that year. You're damn right.
I don't remember that.
You're welcome, America and Japan. You know, imagine the tourism burst that Japan got from that movie. And then
Japan.
the entire season of Futurama that was just like 4 movies also came out that year. So 4 Futurama movies came out. Ender's Game, Beast with a Billion Backs. So, I mean, I think it speaks for itself.
The reason I said that year is overrated is because there's like a handful, like most of the movies you said I love, like Dark Knight, Wall-E, Iron Man, Benjamin Button,
Twilight.
all those. That's overrated. I think the movies I think are overrated for that year were Twilight, In Bruges.
I don't like In Bruges very much.
It's not that funny.
Oh, Slumdog Millionaire.
Slumdog Millionaire won Best Picture that year, and I don't really like that movie. I thought it was kind of boring.
Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is
not overrated, but not a good movie. Burn After Reading, I thought was overrated.
Cloverfield, Gran Torino.
I like Cloverfield, Gran Torino. I don't see why that one gets all the praise it gets from a Clint Eastwood movie. I think there's a better one, and there's a better movie he did that year called Changeling with Angelina Jolie. But that movie is phenomenal. But nobody ever talks about it. Everybody talks about Gran Torino, which is a movie that tells a story that's so familiar, and there's ones that have done it better, I think. Tropic Thunder, I think, is kind of overrated. I don't really think it's all that funny.
I mean, it aged really poorly.
Does that make it better or worse?
Some of the jokes have aged really poorly into modern times, but when that movie came out, we were all dying laughing at it and quoting it till the sun came down.
There were other movies like Quantum of Solace that year that were like highly affected by the writer strike from 2007 that like carried over into 2008.
27 Dresses is an iconic kind of rom-com
I haven't
movie
seen
as
that
well.
one. I do like Forgetting Sarah Marshall though. That one is that's a good rom-com.
Taken is an amazing action movie.
I love
Taken. Pineapple Express is hilarious.
The Wrestler.
Yeah, The Wrestler. I haven't seen it.
Great
but
movie.
Mickey Rourke, right?
Yeah.
Speed Racer, I feel like, is a really interesting, unique
Marley
movie.
and Me.
Yeah, Marley and Me, heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Which Camp Rock is that? Is that the first Camp Rock?
Yeah. Camp Rock.
And High School Musical 3?
Camp Rock.
Camp Rock.
Camp Rock.
So, I don't know, guys. I feel like this year has a little something for everyone. I feel like it has something for your blockbuster fans, for your, like, gritty movie fans. You've got all across the board comedies, action, sci-fi. I just think it was a really big year. But I have 2 picks, so I've got to go from 2008 on to another year. Oh man, there's 2 here that I think I really want both of them. One has, I think, a little bit more quantity and a little bit more movies that I think mass audiences maybe can glom onto. I'm gonna go with 2012. 2008 and 2012. No,
just that one movie.
So just to give you guys perspective on 2012, it has another contender for my favorite movie of all time, Django Unchained. It has Avengers, The Dark Knight Rises, The Amazing Spider-Man 1, Hunger Games. This is a big year for like blockbuster movies. Like, what do they call it's a big year for franchise movies, and it was a time when people were really into those like teen books. What do they call them? I don't remember what they call them.
Oh, like the young adult.
Yeah,
YA.
Or whatever. That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So Hunger Games, 21 Jump Street, Wreck-It Ralph, which is another one of my favorite animated movies. Pitch Perfect, Skyfall, Brave, Silver Linings Playbook, Let It Crumble. Let's go, guys. We can stand tall and face it all together. Les Miserables, Breaking Dark. I wrote Breaking Dark, but it's Breaking Dawn Part 1.
Breaking Dark.
The Place Beyond the Pines with Ryan Gosling, The Lorax, Project X, Loop. So like this is when movies were like a really big part of culture too, because I feel like Project X was like a big like cultural movie where
Yeah.
it's not that good of a movie, but it was just about a big party, and so a lot of people watched it and had fun with it. Looper, Argo, Hotel Transylvania.
Your favorite director's performance?
My favorite director's performance.
Argo.
Oh, I was reading them so fast. Men in Black 3. Have you guys ever heard of It's Such a Beautiful Day?
I thought you were going to say, have we ever heard of Men in Black 3?
Hey, it's a little indie with
it's
Tommy
like
Lee Jones
small
and Josh
budget
Brolin
movie
and Will
with
Smith.
Will Smith.
But have you guys seen it?
Saying Will Smith's name third.
It's such a beautiful, yeah, the star. It's Such a Beautiful Day is this animated movie that's basically just super depressing.
I haven't seen that.
Yeah, it's an interesting watch.
Did you say Wreck-It Ralph?
I did.
What about Zero Dark 30?
Zero Dark 30 is coming up on the list. Lincoln,
see it?
Chronicle, Dread, Zero Dark 30, End of Watch, Magic Mike,
I just watch all the movies.
Stuck in Love, The Vow.
Seen it?
I need to.
Oh yeah, that's good.
It's a good movie.
Jake Gyllenhaal.
Have you guys seen Stuck in Love?
I
No.
don't think so.
It's like a dramedy. It's like a dramatic romantic comedy that Sierra introduced me to, and it's really good. I cry like twice when I watch it, and it's one of my favorite dramedies of all time. It's so good. Lily Collins is in it. I think it's Nat Wolff. I get Nat and Alex Wolff mixed up. And then I think Greg Kinnear, and it's really good. Logan Lerman's in it. It's so sad and emotional. It's a really enjoyable movie with a good soundtrack. And then The Dark Knight Returns, which is one of my favorite animated movies for Batman, telling the Dark Knight Returns comic book story, and Total Recall, the remake with Colin Farrell, is so good.
Yeah, I like that movie a lot. Did you even mention Avengers?
I did.
He did,
Early on. There was just a lot of
Okay.
movies.
Yeah.
You just weren't listening.
No, I wasn't.
But guys, how long was that list? And I feel like all those movies are movies that I like. And also they're just a lot of movies where there's a lot
Definitely
of
Argo too. Like
yeah, for sure. That's my number one. I didn't even finish that movie. But
I really like Argo. I
there's
think it's good.
there's
It
a
won
lot-
Best Picture that year.
yeah. There's a lot of non-dramatic movies in here too that are just fun. But there are dramatic movies like Les Miserables and Place Beyond the Pines, but there are a lot of movies that are just fun movies to go see in the theaters, and this is a really fun year. Like Avengers, like this was a popcorn year, and so many of the best audience favorite movies.
Did you say the
Tasm
Tipping a
won.
Wallflower?
No, I don't think I said
That's
that
a
one.
good movie.
I didn't write that one down. I think I maybe wrote that one down in the wrong year then.
Life of Pi as well. The Master, which is a Paul Thomas Anderson movie. Sinister, which people say is the scariest horror film of all time.
Yeah, I didn't put Life of Pi because I haven't seen it all the way through. I've seen part of it.
It's really
Just him
good.
sitting on a boat. But
Yeah.
can you go up real quick?
Yeah.
I said this.
just
21 Jump Street. 21 Jump Street is so good. So funny.
Skyfall.
Skyfall. let
Did you
it
say
cry.
Silver Linings Playbook?
I don't think I did.
That's my top 5 that year.
That's a
Yeah, that
great.
one's good.
That's like another dramedy as
Mhm.
well.
Really
Mhm.
good. Yeah.
When he throws the book out the window.
I was 12 that year, and when Avengers came out, like that was the first like opening night event movie that I went to, and I have never been the same person since. That's why
Yeah.
I'm here.
Yeah.
So we agree. We all love 2012.
Yeah, it's a good year.
Yeah.
Really good year.
The first Avengers is one of my favorite theater experiences.
Oh, same.
Oh, it's one of the most iconic movies now of all time.
Yeah.
It's like a billion-dollar movie when it came out, and now it's this huge pop culture phenomenon that's
Yeah.
butted into a whole universe.
Mm-hmm.
Just to be clear, I did just draft Iron Man and Avengers in the same turn of 2 separate years, back to back.
So you
So-
don't have that much diversity. Is what
No
you're
big
And
saying.
deal.
I have Batman from '89 and Avengers Endgame.
When's this guy gonna keep playing that same old tune? I have 1989's Batman. God, you have the movie where Batman can't even turn his head.
I have Captain America. All right, you're up.
Okay, so I'm gonna take 2001, which I think is a really cool year because it's the start of multiple franchises that are still continuing today. So we have The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring, which I think is one of the 2 best Lord of the Rings films. And then Harry Potter and Sorcerer's Stone, The Fast and the Furious, the original, and Shrek. Four huge franchises that are still going.
Yeah, I think Shrek is the first best animated feature win. I think it was
Oh, okay,
isn't that when they started animated feature?
I think I'm not sure, but it was a pretty big year for animation because there was Spirited Away, Shrek.
Oh no, wait, did Shrek win if Spirited Away came out? Hold on.
Yeah, give it a check. Monsters Inc., Waking Life, which is a Richard Linklater animated movie, and then Atlantis: The Lost Empire. So like some really good animated movies from that year. But then back to the franchises, some others. There was Jurassic Park 3, which I've always said I think Jurassic Park should have stopped after the original. I don't think really any of the sequels have been warranted. But I do enjoy Jurassic Park 3 because it was the first one that I saw, and I think there's some entertainment there.
I like Jurassic Park 3.
I think
I like
it's
the
fun.
first one, and then the third one, and then the second one.
This is
That's how
crazy.
it went.
I want to bring this back up because I know people listening will be annoyed if we just mention it and don't talk about it. But Spirited Away was not even nominated for Best Animated Feature,
wasn't?
and I think it's because it's foreign film at the time.
Maybe they weren't doing as much back then. Yeah.
But Shrek did win. I think this is the year they introduced because I remember that being like
and
a
that
fun
was when
fact.
they still were just doing 3.
Yeah,
right?
you would be shocked to hear one of the nominees. It's Shrek, Monsters Inc., and Jimmy Neutron Boy Genius, which
Really?
I love that movie growing up.
Is what? Why are you saying that movie?
It was nominated for Best Animated Feature at the Oscars.
What?
I think that's crazy.
I had no idea.
Listen, growing up,
Has anyone seen that?
growing
movie?
up, no one loved that movie more than me. As like a young child, I watched that movie a bunch of times. I think we had it on DVD. But the fact that that's nominated and Spirited Away wasn't is absolutely
Right.
mind-boggling.
No, that's crazy.
I wonder if they just because it was considered a foreign film, they didn't even consider it.
It was a really good year for thrillers because some of my all-time favorite movies are in this portion of 2001. There's Donnie Darko, which is a cult classic, one that's a top 10 of all time for me. Mulholland Drive, which would be a top 20 of all time. A Beautiful Mind, which is like a dramatic thriller. It's a biopic, and that was the best picture winner that year, directed by Ron Howard, starring Russell Crowe.
It's a great movie.
Training Day, which won Denzel.
That movie's so good.
That movie is so stressful, so crazy.
I think I put it in my top 20 movies when we did my top 20 movie episode.
Yeah.
The performances from Ethan Hawke and Denzel are just so phenomenal. It's an all-time performance for Denzel.
It also has Memento.
I love that movie.
And Vanilla Sky, which is a pretty interesting Tom Cruise thriller. And I think that was directed by Cameron Crowe. And then there's The Others, which is kind of a horror thriller with Nicole Kidman that I was able to predict in the first 30 seconds.
He was like, "It's The Others."
Got it. Yeah, I figured that one out. Let's see. And then some historical movies: A Knight's Tale, Pearl Harbor, Black Hawk Down.
Historical movie, Knight's Tale. That is so funny. That movie is such a good comedy for the way that it mixes like modern stuff into a historical movie. It's like
I haven't seen it. I just thought it was historical and threw it into that category.
So it's a comedy, but it takes place in medieval times, and in the opening they're playing like "We Will Rock You" on like the trumpets. They like start blowing on. It's like
Oh, wow.
it's almost like Monty Python style, but it's way more modern and not as not. I wouldn't say it's as slapstick. It's hilarious, and he proves that Heath Ledger truly can do anything.
Yeah. It was also a really good year for rom-coms because all of these are iconic. There's Legally Blonde, The Princess Diaries, Bridget Jones' Diary, and Serendipity. I think all of those are very entertaining. And then it was also the year that Ocean's 11 came out, so I guess I should put that in the franchises one. Will Smith's performance in Ali, the Royal Tenenbaums for the Wes Anderson fans out there. And
Did he win for Ali? Do you know?
No, he didn't win. Denzel won for Training Day.
Fair enough.
That year.
Yeah.
I just feel like it depends on how you campaign because I could see him as supporting. Like I feel like best actor would be Ethan Hawke nominee, because I feel like he's the main star.
Yeah, I feel like that's right. I feel like I didn't think about that. I think Ethan Hawke it would be because it's told from his perspective.
But often they like campaign for like these political reasons for maybe they want to make him the star because the people in supporting is more competition or I don't think he needed to be worried about competition that year though.
Yeah. And then lastly, a really famous foreign film from that year is Amelie, which is people still talk about that as like one of like the greatest movies ever. So yeah.
I can't believe Monsters Inc. came out that year too. The Oscars used to be so weird. Sound editing has 2 nominees. Also, I don't even think the category is called sound editing anymore. I think it's called sound design. The Oscars changed so much.
Now it's just sound.
They have
thrown editing and mixing into one.
That's what it is. Because back then they had sound and sound editing.
Yeah.
And there's nothing for mixing.
Yeah. They changed that. They changed those 2 up quite a bit. Oh, there was also Zoolander, Moulin Rouge, AI, artificial intelligence, Spy Kids, and Hannibal, Devil's Backbone, which is an early Guillermo del Toro film, and Lara Croft, Tomb Raider.
Dude, you just went right over Spy Kids. Like that's iconic.
Did I say Spy Kids?
You did.
Oh, okay.
But I just mean you said it so fast. Like that's Spy Kids, bro.
I mean, like I skipped it.
All right, that's a good year. I had it in my list. I had 2001 in my list, so I'll eat that.
Year.
Where does that bring you? Back to
God, you don't have to say it every time.
I'm gonna be ending my team here,
Seems so fast.
wrapping up my team. Let's see. For my fourth pick, I'm gonna take 2018. It's got some of the best superhero movies. We have Infinity War, Into the Spider-Verse, Black Panther. So there's a lot of big, heavy hitters right there.
I think Venom was that year.
Ew.
Add it to the list, baby.
Venom. Venom, they're not gonna know what hit them.
I feel like there's some other. Oh, Fallout. That was another one that I wanted
Yeah,
to
Mission
mention.
Impossible Fallout. Geeked on that movie.
Wouldn't have the Henry Cavill arm pump
yeah.
without that movie. Could you imagine how bad our life would be?
We probably wouldn't have the MCU without that movie.
Dude, probably not.
No. There would be no MCU.
Where would Deadpool and Wolverine be without that?
We wouldn't have. Let's not forget, we wouldn't have Mission Impossible Fallout without Batman 1989.
No, we certainly would not. 1989 is the year to vote for.
We have A Star is Born, A Quiet Place, which I just watched for the first time this year. I don't know why people
So
haven't been
good.
telling me to watch this
So good.
franchise sooner, but so good. Definitely one of my favorite like thriller, post-apocalyptic world movies. Incredibles 2, Creed 2.
Which do you think is
Coming
better,
with
Incredibles
sequels.
or Incredibles 2?
I like Incredibles more.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah, you do.
I don't think I know anybody that likes Incredibles 2 better. Yeah, I like it a lot, but I don't know anybody who's ever said that.
You know, I think a few people have said it. I just can't think. I don't know if it's Justin or not.
Yeah, he's trying to make up people right now.
But-
Nobody's ever said that. You're right. Definitely no one. Sentence no one's ever uttered.
Mm-hmm.
Run out of movies already.
On IMDb, Infinity War is way down here. That's crazy.
I
Have you
assume.
seen Beautiful Boy came out that year? I
Yes.
watched that for the first time a few weeks ago. That movie's so good.
I think Timothy Chalamet's best performance, arguably.
haven't
yeah.
seen
That
the movie.
for me, that or Dune 2, maybe,
It's one of those two.
or
Yeah.
Wonka.
And
No, I'm
it might be the movie coming up.
Bob Dylan.
Yeah, the
movie?
Bob Dylan biopic.
Yeah, I mean, I think Beautiful Boy is a killer performance, and if you know people who have been affected by drug addiction, it's like all the more impactful.
Yeah, it's
It's incredibly emotional too because of the perspective of being a family member of somebody in that position. Whereas I feel like a lot of movies tell it from the perspective of the individual with the affliction, like Requiem for a Dream or something like that.
right.
But this is like how much it hurts the family member,
Mhm.
and man, it's killer. The scene when he's talking to his new wife, and she's like arguing with him. He's like getting dressed to go look for him. And
That's
she's
the
like,
scene.
"What are you gonna do?" And he's like, "I don't know." He's like, "I don't know." She's like, "You're just gonna go on the street?" And he's like, he's my son, so I'm just gonna go
Yeah.
drive around and look.
That's
Like,
a great
what
performance
else?
from Steve Carell too. Like
Really,
everybody
really good.
usually thinks of him as like the funny guy, but like he can be really dramatic.
Dude, we were
as
talking
well.
about Vice the other day. He's good in that movie.
I forgot he was in Vice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's good in literally no matter what he tries to do, and he
Yeah.
seems like a really good person as well. He's touted as being like one of the friendliest people in Hollywood.
Like with Keanu Reeves.
yeah, him, Keanu Reeves, like maybe Tom Hanks, like some of the
Yeah.
nicest people in Hollywood.
Tom Hanks is America's dad, is what
Yeah.
it says.
Have you ever seen that Conan bit where he's getting interviewed by Conan and he's like, "You're known to be one of the nicest guys in Hollywood," and he's like, "I hate this image," and he like takes a mug off of Conan's desk and shatters it.
I haven't seen
It's,
that.
it's funny. I'll have to look that up on YouTube and show it to you. But that is a great movie that doesn't get talked about nearly enough.
All right. For the last year that I'm going to take on my draft is going to be 2004.
Okay, I can take that because still leaving my last one up there. I have to hope and
You have to
pray.
get through McNeill.
I know this is the last
I, to be honest, I have no idea what I'm picking for number 5.
I know that was my 2004 was kind of a last minute decision here.
Yeah,
Um,
that's an interesting year.
it's got
I'm shocked, honestly. I thought I had a year
The
in mind for you.
Incredibles.
Sorry, I didn't.
You had a year
Totally interrupted you.
in
but
mind for me.
I had a year in mind that I thought you were going to pick, and that's that's
Not the one.
decades away from what I thought you were going to pick.
Decades away.
I'll tell you.
I think I I'll do it in Morse code. Just kidding.
Yeah.
So we have The Incredibles, Spider-Man 2.
What are you waiting for? Something amazing, I guess.
Shrek 2, Collateral. I really like that
That's
movie.
a great movie.
Aaron picks some like random movies sometimes to really like, and
What do you mean random movies?
I feel like
Yeah.
Michael Mann, Jamie Foxx.
Well,
Yeah,
how
how's
often,
that
how
random?
often do you hear somebody talk about Collateral?
I talked about it last night with John.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But how often do you hear a person on the
Underrated.
street
It was
talk
nominated for 2 Oscars, bro.
Which
Did I-
ones?
Did I say?
over
I
the-
didn't say underrated.
I know, but you're like, it's the weird movie of their Aaron to randomly like.
Okay,
It's not random.
I feel like it's a more random
No,
movie.
it's so good.
Supporting
Doesn't mean
actor for
random doesn't
Jamie
mean
Foxx
bad. Why are
and
you
film
guys taking-
editing.
You guys are taking so much offense to random. It's
Because you were trying to insult
if I look at
Collateral.
If I look at the amount of reviews Collateral has on Letterboxd, I guarantee you it's significantly less than like
No.
than like a popular movie like The Avengers. I mean, I could pick a less popular movie as an example. It probably has less reviews than Sonic.
It probably has over 300K.
And that can still be less than a popular movie. Here, I'll look this up while you guys are talking about other stuff.
Anyways,
2004.
Collateral's really good. I'm glad you enjoy it too, and
Great
you're here to help
Yes.
defend it against Andrew's hate. I lost my place on this.
It's
page.
not hate.
There we go. I, Robot, one of my favorite Will Smith
I need
movies.
to see that one.
You haven't seen it?
Mm-mm.
It's very good, and I feel like it's very modern and relevant to like what's going on now with like AI taking over and like,
Oh, interesting.
these
Okay.
robots, taking over like daily tasks, and then people being afraid of the robots taking over and stuff.
Yeah.
It's really cool. And then of course the like battle of like what's life and what's not, and like what has feelings. And
I need to see this.
Yeah.
This sounds right.
Did you say iRobot?
yeah,
Yeah.
So iRobot has like 150,000 more ratings on IMDb than Collateral does. So that's just what I mean.
well, they're
Less
both
by random, I mean less popular.
unique. 51st Dates,
That was 2004. Wow.
Born Supremacy,
Good movie.
Yeah.
I love
Eternal
I-
Shark Tale, another Will Smith.
Ooh,
Will
Shark
Smith
Tale.
was-
Yeah.
Will Smith was.
He was
I
cooking.
remember seeing Shark Tale in theaters, and I was 4.
That's that impactful.
Yeah. Eternal Sunshine of Spotless Mind is the
worry
best movie from that
about
year.
a thing.
That's an all-timer for me.
Because
Which
every
one?
little
Eternal
thing.
Sunshine of a Spotless Mind.
In
We
this-
talked about that the other night, right?
How can you think that? Yeah. How can you think that's the best movie that came out that year when we just said Shark Tale came out that year?
Oh, right.
And
right.
Incredibles.
Yeah. No, but it's still Eternal Sunshine.
Passion of the Christ. Come on, can't
I
forget
already
that.
seen that one.
That movie, I think, like broke some records or something. It was. I
They
think it
did.
was the highest grossing R-rated movie.
Yeah.
At the time,
Yeah.
yeah. Now it's Deadpool and Wolverine, and I think they gave it a little nod to Passion of the
At-
Christ. And that,
At least domestically, we beat them overseas. That was in Deadpool 2 when he's referencing Deadpool 1.
yeah.
Prisoner of Azkaban. Ocean's 12. National Treasure. That was the last.
Ooh,
one
yeah.
that I
Prisoner of
looked at.
Azkaban is also like arguably the best Harry Potter movie.
Yeah, that one's my favorite
It's
one.
it's one of my favorites.
It's Alfonso Cuarón, isn't it?
Yep.
Alien vs Predator. Blade Trinity. The Punisher.
Blade
I haven't
Trinity.
seen
Blade
any of
Trinity's
those.
bad. Wait, that's the good Punisher. That's the Punisher with John Travolta and Tom
Yeah.
Jane.
And Troy.
It's a good movie. It's a little bit too long. I think you cut probably like 30 to 45 minutes out of it and make it a better movie.
And then, of course, we cannot forget Catwoman.
One of the
Obviously.
lowest rated Rotten Tomatoes movies of all
You're doing
time.
really good for your year there with Catwoman.
Scooby-Doo 2. Monsters
Ooh, yeah.
Unleashed. I almost said Unlimited.
Oh, that's the live action one. Yeah, that
Yeah.
is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I like the first one more, but the second one's still entertaining.
I think James Gunn wrote it. I don't know that he directed it.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Okay. McNeill, that brings us to your last
You
pick.
missed some huge ones from that year, though.
No,
You got
he don't do
the-
that.
Oh, okay, yeah.
What did I miss?
No. You got The Notebook, Mean Girls,
Wow.
Kill Bill Volume 2.
Just skipping all the movies.
I was
that
just
star
going off
women.
the IMDb.
Every movie that stars women, he just
Yeah, I was like, get rid of.
Mean Girls,
13
Kill
going on
Bill.
30. Another one.
Sorry.
White Chicks.
I guess yeah.
There was Saw.
He saw chick in the title. He said,
Yeah,
Skull.
no, I'm just kidding. Saw, Napoleon Dynamite, Polar Express, Butterfly Effect. Yeah.
Ooh, Butterfly Effect.
The
That's a
Aviator.
Paul movie.
The Aviator.
Hurts.
Yeah. Oh, The Village. Day After Tomorrow. Dodgeball.
Dodgeball.
Yeah.
Dude, you're doing
I'm just helping
favors
you out,
right now.
helping you out.
Big
You're the
time
man.
favors.
You're the man.
All right, so I gotta pick something. Okay.
He doesn't have a chance. Y'all are cooked.
Let's see.
I feel really happy with my team.
That's
So
good. I'm happy for you.
I'm trying to decide if I want to pick quantity or actually go for something this time that's like my actual favorite. I think I'm going to go with my actual favorite. 2010. So the reason I'm picking this is because my all-time favorite movie, Inception, came out
Yeah,
that year.
It's a great year.
Some other all-timers for me that year, Black Swan and Shutter Island, How to Train Your Dragon. Social Network is also way up there. I know that's one of your favorites too.
Don't even like it.
Yeah, right.
David Fincher's shittiest film.
You heard it here.
Yeah,
Clip that.
yeah. Scott Pilgrim versus the World, Tangled, Harry Potter and Deathly Hallows Part 1, Toy Story 3, which people often regard as the highest or as the best Toy Story film. Easy
You've
A,
seen 4?
Alice in Wonderland, Blue Valentine, which I think is probably the most depressing movie that I've ever seen. But it's really, really good with great performances from Ryan Gosling
Let me
and
ask
Michelle
you,
Williams.
more depressing than Requiem for a Dream, which is the most depressing movie I've ever seen.
I think that one is really depressing, but I think Blue Valentine stuck with me more because it was about a couple going through a divorce and their kid was 5 years old and I was 5 when my parents got divorced, so I just related to that movie a lot and it hit me harder than Requiem for a Dream did because I feel like Requiem Dream was just like, don't do drugs are bad, and I'm like, yeah, okay, who doesn't know that? But Blue Valentine just that one hit really hard. It's a great movie.
Yeah, I wonder why Requiem for a Dream hit me hard. I don't know, not sure.
There was Insidious, Twilight Eclipse, Kick-Ass, Megamind, Despicable Me. So think about this year for animated movies. We've got Megamind, Despicable Me, How to Train Your Dragon, and Toy Story 3.
Code, I know.
That's
Heavy
huge, yeah.
year for animation.
Yeah, I mean, for me, honestly, you guys don't even like Despicable Me, so I don't know why you would bring that up. But for me,
Oh, and Tangled.
For me, Tangled, How to Train Your Dragon, Despicable Me, and Megamind is and Toy Story 3
Yeah, Toy Story
is
3.
a monstrous year for animation.
Yeah.
I mean, I just watched Megamind this month, and I was giggling. Like, it's so funny.
That's an underrated film.
Yeah.
That one doesn't get
when he's like, ha, 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 oh, that was a great story, so funny. Now you tell one. I'm your space dad. This is for space stepmom. You lied to her. Also, the way he names him Titan, and he like consistently misspells it. So he names him Titan, but Titan spells it Tighten, like tight. He doesn't know how to spell his own superhero name. God, it's so funny.
There's also a movie in Denis Villeneuve's career before he started making American English language movies, which is Ensandie, which people still consider to be one of his best. It's so devastating. I mean, people should definitely check it out to see like what he was doing. You could see his style coming through in that movie.
The poster looks devastating.
It's another really depressing movie that year. It's a great year for depressing movies, apparently.
That's high up on my watch list, but it'd be hard to get Sierra to watch it because I think it's in French.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she's not big on subtitled movies.
Yeah,
Karate Kid, holy shit.
The remake.
Yeah, I wrote down this movie this year for a reason, and I was just blown away as I scrolled down Letterboxd to see like we watched Karate Kid recently too, and The Other Guys was hilarious. Yeah, the modern day Karate Kid with Jackie Chan is phenomenal.
Yeah,
it's another movie that could be shorter too. Could lose 20 to 30 minutes of its runtime, but it's really good.
There was Tron Legacy, The Town, which we talked about earlier, True Grit, the remake from the Coen brothers. The Best Picture winner that year was The King's Speech, which is a really good historical biopic with an Oscar-winning performance from Colin Firth.
Did you say The Fighter?
The Fighter, yeah, that one's
Oscar-nominated performances.
Yeah, I think Christian Bale?
I think he won Best Supporting.
Yeah, I think he did.
To my recollection. Yeah. I saw that movie in theaters too. I saw a couple movies this year because I saw The Fighter. I saw Karate Kid in theaters.
Yeah. We can't forget about M. Night Shyamalan's The Last Airbender.
You're bringing your team down just like Arron was. That movie
iconic.
Has like a
iconically bad.
Has like a 0% on Rotten Tomatoes.
It's like doesn't make the year bad. It makes the year iconic.
Yeah, it does. It only adds to the memory. You guys are wild. Letters to Juliet, I think, is a really entertaining guilty pleasure. Book of Eli is a really underrated Denzel movie. It's a solid year. I really enjoyed this year.
Oh, man, that's such a good year. I can't believe you got Megamind. I love that movie. I think DreamWorks has
seen it.
You have to watch it. DreamWorks is so underrated for how phenomenal movies they put out. Because DreamWorks has Shrek, How to Train Your Dragon. It has Megamind. It has all like Puss in Boots: The Last Wish.
That
Like
movie's so good.
they put out such phenomenal animated movies, and then get kind of like I feel like take back seat to Pixar and Disney,
Yeah.
despite the fact that I would. DreamWorks has Kung Fu Panda as well. Oh my
Mhm.
goodness, God, Megamind's so funny. Just, code that doesn't make any sense. Code I know. My old Schulhouse. House. I love you too, random citizen. Super quotable. And if you haven't seen Megamind, you need to watch it. It's on Netflix right now. I'm debating between 2 years for the overall last pick of the draft. And just looking at this one is, I mean, I can talk out loud. You guys don't have any more picks, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm debating between 2022, 2023, and 2024. And I think I can get a huge recency bias pick from any of these. I think there are phenomenal movies in all 3 of these years. This year is shaping up to be absolutely stellar. What's your guys' take on if I can tout movies that haven't come out yet this year, but are coming out soon?
I feel like that shouldn't count, but that's just me.
Yeah.
You guys are a bunch of bitches.
Well, what if when they come out and then they suck?
I mean, then they suck.
I feel like you could draft the year.
No, I can't. No, I definitely can draft this year. I'm arguing whether I get the movies that have come out because we're 3/4 through the year.
I would say so. You just don't know how they're perceived.
Mm-hmm.
Like you could draft, I guess, like 2028. It just might not earn you votes.
Avatar 4 or whatever.
It just might not earn you votes until a few years from now.
Yeah. Was 2022 the year you thought Arron was going to pick?
Yes,
That's what I thought too. I really thought he was going to take that because the
Batman,
Batman, obviously,
as well
And-
as a bunch of other insane movies in that year. And then last year has Barbenheimer.
yeah.
But I mean, I feel like last year has Barbenheimer, John Wick. Like it has some good stuff in it, but I feel like I'm really struggling here. I'm just gonna go ahead and go with 2022 for my last pick.
Nice.
I think 2022 is a monster of a year that is like the bounce back from COVID. I think that's when you could say we're back. 2022 has Aaron's personal favorite movie of all time, The Batman. One of my favorite movies of all time as well. It has Everything Everywhere All at Once, which is another all-timer for me. 5-star movie. It has The Menu, which for me is like a 4.5-star movie. Glass Onion, Knives Out story, which is just a blast. Not quite as good as the original Knives Out, but has all the same magic to it. It has Nope, one of Jordan Peele's 3 movies. Then we get Pearl and X, which I think is a crazy double movie in like the same year. Those movies, I didn't watch them until this year, and I was blown away. I wish I watched them sooner. Ty West, I love the way he films. Such a dynamic variety of shots in his movies, like all kinds of movement, all kinds of ranges, like takes closes and wides back and forth throughout the whole movie. And then Mia Goth, I think, is just going to be a generational talent as she like continues to grow and show up in more movies. I think even though I like X better, I think her performance in Pearl is one of my favorite performances of all time, especially like there's a long take, Aaron, you haven't seen this movie, I don't think, but there's a long take at the very end of the movie that is straight between 5 and 10 minutes long of her sitting at a table monologuing, and she starts crying, stops crying, and then starts crying again during this whole conversation.
Wow.
And the performance of that is mind-blowing. I think it is an all-time performance. And that's not even getting to Top Gun Maverick and Avatar Way of the Water that both came out in the same year. Huge media juggernaut movies. And then smaller indie, like emotional movies like After Sun. Awesome action movies like Bullet Train, one of my all-time action greats of the modern era of like the 2020 so far. Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness and Thor Love and Thunder. So we do get some Marvel movies in there, even though they're not like the most highly reviewed.
Black Panther Wakanda Forever.
Yes, that one slipped in there like towards the end of the year, right? Like November or something.
Don't forget about Marcel the Shell, because Letterboxd has that 2021 and it came out in 2022.
I think it's on my notes app, but I'm going through Letterboxd, so I'm glad you said that because Marcel the Shell.
That made your list for that that year we did. No, I haven't seen that. That's awesome.
It's Marcel and Nana Connie tattooed on my arm.
Nice.
That is one of my favorite movies of all time. It's such an emotional experience to watch that movie, and Jenny Slate's performance, as well as Isabella Rossellini's, are like their voices go like they cut right through to my heart in that movie. It's got Babylon, and it's got great horror movies like Barbarian and Talk to Me, Body Bodies Bodies, awesome A24 movies. The Whale, an emotional, heart-wrenching movie that I still have to watch. I'm nervous to watch. Banshees of Inisherin, And
I
then
love Banshees.
for
That's a great
animation, we
movie.
already talked about Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, but that comes
Yeah.
out this year, and that's one of the best animated movies I've seen in like the last decade.
It's really good.
It's so phenomenally animated with such a unique style and a great villain with
Yeah.
Death. Don't Worry, Darling, Bones and All, Elvis. Like this movie was really back. Smile, another iconic horror movie, a new Scream
The
movie.
Northman.
The Northman, All Quiet on the Western Front, Tar, Triangle of Sadness. Crazy year for the Oscars. So many different crazy Oscar
It was
movies.
a very like that year. I feel like the Oscars for a while didn't have a lineup of Best Picture nominees that like accurately represented that year, and they were like all just super niche movies that nobody saw. But like Top Gun Maverick was nominated,
and
for,
Way of the Water, yeah.
yeah,
And Black Panther.
yeah, and so well, Black Panther wasn't that year.
It wasn't nominated for Best Picture?
No, but the original one was.
Yeah.
But
there was a Best Supporting Actress nominated. They got other nominations.
Yeah,
but I
yeah.
thought it was Best Picture, but yeah, I trust you.
Now I'm doubting myself.
Don't.
I'm right.
Fresh was a movie I watched this year that's freaking amazing. I recommend everyone watch Fresh. It's super dark and kind of freaky, so if you're into that thing, if you're not, you might not like it, but I thought the performance
Make
was
sure you're not eating during it.
The performance from Daisy Edgar Jones is really, really good in that movie. Fantastic. And Sebastian Stan kills it. Another animated movie,
Literally.
Pinocchio.
The Guillermo del Toro one.
Exactly. Megan, Prey. So a bunch of really cool kind of horror movies. Prey is not too much horror to me. To me, it's like basically an action movie, but it's really good Hulu movie. Prey is my favorite Predator movie.
Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent.
Uncharted as well. So like fun movies as well. I mean, The Gray Man is not my favorite, but
Morbius.
Men came out as well. The Year of Morbius, the Morbin Time. I think that came out in January. Suzume is a really well animated movie. Where the Crawdads Sing is a fun movie. I think
the book is so much better than that movie. That movie was trash.
I thought the movie was okay. I like Daisy Edgar Jones.
Where the Crawdads Sing.
Oh, I like that movie. You didn't like it?
No, I read the book, and the movie just, I don't know, didn't do the book justice, I thought.
Did you tell me about The Lost City the other day? Someone was
that movie is really funny.
That movie came out. Blonde, A Man Called Otto, Amsterdam. I mean, I feel like this movie the thing I like about modern years is
there's so many.
Yeah, like there's so much variety. Like the 90s is so strong for quality of picks, and then modern years just so many movies come out. Like
more and more movies are coming out every year.
Yeah. And then The Woman King I thought was really good, and Not Okay is another, I think, Hulu movie that I thought was really good. So bangers.
Yeah.
You ready to
solid?
Yeah, let's recap our
teams.
All right. I'll kick us off here since I went first. Arron, I picked 2014, 1995, 2013, 2018, and 2004.
I'm McNeill. I picked 2019, 2007, 1989, 2001, and 2010.
My name is Andrew, and I picked my movies in the order of the years came out. 1994, 1999, 2008, 2012, and then 2022. Funny how that happened.
Very nice. Wouldn't it have been funny if one of us drafted like a decade apart for each of them?
Yeah.
Like 2022,
1980.
2002.
I think it's funny, like, listening to your guys' years, it's like so hard to pick.
It is.
Yeah.
Because it's like everybody has such good movies. I mean, I'm content with my year. Here's my question for you guys then. What year do you think you're most jealous that you didn't get?
I really like 2010, 2022.
And it's crazy though. He picked 2010. That was his last pick. It was on the board the whole time.
I would say 2013, which is one of Aaron's picks.
Mm-hmm.
I love that year. All of my top 5 that year are all my like top 100. I think that year is really solid. So I'd probably have to say that, but then also 99 is a good year.
I think I'm jealous that you got 2007, and I'm jealous that Arron got 2014. That's probably the years I would want most from each of you guys is 7 and 14.
Yeah.
So many good movies.
Yeah.
04 turned out to be really good as well, though. And I had 2010 on my list. I knew how good it was. I don't know.
This was hard to keep track of.
Yeah.
All the years and movies that you have in mind of what you want to pick.
Yeah.
There's a lot of information on
also,
this draft.
We're all like fairly young, so there's like an obvious bias on our list. Like there's only one thing that's from the 80s, and that's 89, which is like the end of the 80s. So we have nothing from the 70s or 60s. So I mean, you can come for us for that. But like I said, modern movies and modern years have more. I should say modern years have more movies, more variety of movies.
I was telling Andrew before you got here, McNeill, that I was watching a YouTube video and they were going over like some of their favorite years in film, and they like gave a bunch of honorable mentions, and I was like, oh, those are all really good. What are they gonna say for their actual picks? And then they started off by 1920 something. I was like, I'm out.
They probably said 1939. That's usually a year that's regarded as one of the best because of just because of Gone with the Wind, Stagecoach, and The Wizard of Oz.
Did you say 1927?
39.
1939. I think I saw 27 on just a random website. They did their list, and it was like their number one pick. I was like, the 20s?
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually did an episode on Cinema 3D the other day, and it was about horror movies, and it was like underrated horror movies, and I pulled one from 1920. And it was like
Nosferatu.
it was the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari,
Hmm.
and I just liked that movie a lot. I thought it was really good, but like I'm not some 1920s expert.
Bro's trying to look like a film buff over here.
Yeah.
I've never seen that movie.
I watch film, not movies.
Cinema.
All right, what does the audience have to do now?
Audience, you have to vote, and you can vote on multiple platforms as well. So if you're still sticking around watching this, I mean, thank you. I don't think there's anybody left, but you can vote.
Besides Justin.
Yeah, you can vote across different platforms. So if you vote on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, and that's just in the comments of any of our short-term videos. And then if you also comment on Spotify and YouTube, that can be like 5 votes for that person's team. If you feel that strongly about it, it can help my team win. These guys don't have much of a chance, so I wouldn't even throw them a pity vote because it's kind of just going to throw off the statistics. Because I would just put the vote where it rightfully belongs, under Andrew, ANDREW. McNeill is spelt the same as my name. Weirdly enough, it's just pronounced differently, and Aaron's as well. But definitely thank you guys for watching. Make sure that you, like we said earlier, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and follow us on all of our short form media platforms: TikTok, YouTube, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, X, all over those platforms. Make sure to follow us and check out our videos on there. We post short form videos every day. You should also join that thing where we all chat and talk. What's that called, Aaron?
It's called the Discord, and McNeill's actually in there, and that's where we kind of developed our friendship even further, and he's now on the show. We talk about a bunch of different movie topics, debates, we do polls, we take suggestions for episode ideas.
That's where Aaron sends his shirtless pics.
Exactly. So you don't want to miss that out.
Yeah, you don't want to miss that out. You definitely don't want to miss that out.
That's why I signed up.
YouTube.
You're gonna make fun of me for saying YouTube. I'm not letting you say miss that out. Just move on.
That's fair. That's fair. You gotta keep each other accountable with our words here.
Somebody's got to be mean to us.
Anyways, Andrew, how much is the Discord though?
Oh my god! I mean, now it's absolutely free.
The barrier to entry keeps climbing. The Discord.
Freer and freer every day, just like America.
Yeah.
Home of the brave.
But anyways, thanks McNeill for joining us today. Thank you everyone for watching, and
that's a wrap.